Okay. This morning our talk is on Manus tax-free zone. It's a concept for discussion and further development. It's not a distinctive thing that anyone will force upon the province. It's a collaborative effort that we'll do, and therefore we must start the discussions so that we get it right. Everything else that has to happen has to be done correctly, in consultation with all the partners involved. So that's why this concept, this paper is intended to stimulate some thinking and discussions among the implementers. Okay. Quickly, Prime Minister Honorable James Marape has declared Manus to be the first tax-free zone in PNG during the Speakers Summit in Port Moresby. This declaration means that all agencies that are responsible for implementation should have jumped or are now jumping to translate what the PM intends and how it will be implemented. Yes, the same thing is right. It's been 2 weeks now, and no one has come up with some initiative action on how to proceed, and therefore the Office of the Speaker has decided to do this presentation to start discussions, start efforts towards achieving PM's declaration for Manus. The purpose is to initiate, like I said, one of the Prime Minister's statement talks about taking back PNG and making PNG the richest black country in the world through such initiatives as Manus being declared a free trade zone. And there are many other initiatives that we discussed, but we are focusing on Manus as part of this statement that PM has given. These are some facts about Manus you already have in your leaflets. We've just taken that and just put it in our presentation, so nothing different. Okay, Manus economy is basically based on remittances, as you all know. Manus people living abroad or in other provinces contribute about 10 million kina every year to the Manus economy through remittances. The other area of support for the province is government budget. Government annually gives grants and support to the provincial government to carry out activities and employs public services. So there's a big injection of funds through the system. There are no large projects as in other provinces. There are no mine, there are no gold. So Manus basically has none of those big projects to support its economy. Economy, as Speaker Kulip said, has declined over the years. It's now concentrated on sporadic little SME activities all over the place. So our challenge is to try and see if we can change it to go back to what it was before, where there were a lot of businessmen around. One of the recent boosts to the economy was the establishment of the Asylum Center as part of the agreement between the government of PNG and Australia. However, the benefits that we initially anticipated to pour into Manus to drive the economy has sort of died away. There's some benefits coming in, but not in a big way that we had anticipated. And that's why the recent talks about relocating or shutting down the Asylum Center and moving people out. There are other small activities such as fishing, logging, like Bitsime is rife in the province. I think Manus people go as far as New Island looking for Bitsime, I'm told so. There's some activity going on in the SME and cottage industry. We just need to mobilize support and equipment with assistance they need, like funding, awareness, training, and IT skills to be able to upgrade their activities. What is the objectives of PM making that declaration? Usually, a tax-free zone is designed to attract investors from all over the world, especially foreign direct investors, because these FDIs, they inject money from outside into our local economy instead of just circulating the same money we have in the economy. So that's why injection of capital by foreign direct investors is a big boost normally to the economy, especially economy like Manus. So we intend to increase investment in Manus to boost the economy. We intend to stimulate and boost local economy and create linkages for other industries to occur. We intend to enhance employment and training of locals. We intend to encourage transfer of foreign technology and expertise, and opportunity to upgrade existing infrastructure and services. We also intend to create downstream processing of local raw materials, accelerate the integration with domestic and global economy, and create a favorable environment for research and development. The definition. There are many definitions for different concepts: special economic zone, economic processing zone, export processing zone. But since PM has defined Manus as a tax-free zone, that's a bit wrong. He declared Manus as a tax-free zone. The definition of a tax-free zone is a special site or sites within the country deemed to be outside of customs borders, and where the regulations to foreign investments and trade are not there, and 100% exemptions are given to company tax, sales tax, and other duties being applied within those sites. There are 4 types of tax-free zones. First one is free trade zone. That one you're familiar with. Usually a free trade zone is normally located near a seaport or airport. The purpose of free trade zone is for goods to be brought in, repacked or reprocessed, packed and sent out. And they are given full exemptions on income tax, company tax, if they are producing to export 85% of the products. Usually there are no linkages and no value added in a free trade zone area. So when we define free trade zone, you now can understand why free trade zone concept may not be in itself applicable or good. The next concept on a group of concepts is the export processing zone. An export processing zone is a zone where government gives special incentives for investors, both foreign and local, to locate and do business in the zone. It's not restricted to export industries, it's both industries as well. That has a more clear linkage and value added to the local economy. The third one is special economic zones. During this discussion, specifications I'll be going back to SEZ. SEZ, or special economic zone, is a border area. You declare the whole Lorengau and Los Negros, main Manus Island. If you declare it SEZ, then it gives opportunity for other things like free trade zone, tax-free area, industrial area to be located within the overall boundary of an SEZ. So maybe for Manus, to make it more economical, we need an SEZ. Not just a tax-free zone, not just a free trade zone, but maybe an SEZ, because it allows for much more contribution by investors coming in. Of course, the industrial zone is the last concept. I used to be former managing director for Industrial Center Development Corporation. That's one part of a group of concepts that relate to free trade zone. So we've been doing free trade zone for the last, say, 20 years. So we know what it is, the experience we have gained. It's now we're graduating it to SEZ, where we have to now expand the horizon to bring everyone together in that zone. So anything to do when we talk about tax to apply and things like that, it's a collective decision to be made by working committee that is chosen by state to determine what sort of activities, what sort of taxes, what sort of exemptions will be given in the SEZ participants. There are two types of zones. First one is a semi-private zone, which the government owns land, and the private sector moves in lease land and set up business to operate out of. The second type is a fully owned private investment. A private company owns the land, owns the buildings, and leases out. However, government incentives can apply to both. These are some of the activities that can be taken in a free trade zone or tax-free zone or SEZ. Some of the benefits that will become available to investors, foreign direct investors, just indication of what they are. By the way, we have run a couple of copies of this presentation, so if you don't hear me clearly or what, you can still pick up a copy and read through. So these are incentives. There are two types of incentives group. We'll cover it, but I mention it now since we are here. The two incentive types are fiscal incentives. One is where monetary value is lost through giving those incentives, like tax holidays, sales tax exemption, income tax exemption. Those are fiscal incentives that we're losing money, but we have to find ways of how we get it back through other means. So the second type is factor incentives. Factor incentives are just facilities that eases the cost of doing business in the country. So when you hear people talking about one-stop shop concept, that's factor incentives. Nothing to do with financial, but it helps you to speed up the process by which you can do business immediately instead of waiting for so much period, which is famous in PNG 4. Okay, in 2007, Department of Commerce and Industry engaged a consulting group from America who came to Manus to look at declaring Manus a free trade zone. The report concluded at that time that the economy of Manus, including the infrastructure, support and services, were not at the stage where it would be feasible to implement the free trade zone. It also contrasted the developments in Mosby and Ley and stated that, concluded that a free trade zone can go into Mosby or Ley, but Manus not at this stage. But this is what, 12 years ago, since the report came out. So there's been little change of the status since the report came out, a recommendation. But the difference now is that PM has decided, PM has declared Manus, PM has directed all systems to go. So now we're taking this initiative, this statement by PM, to making so everyone takes the initiative and drive it. If you are PG Post, you tell us how you're going to upgrade your wharf and who's going to fund you, or you're going to fund yourself. If you are airport, National Airport Corporation, you tell us how you're going to upgrade your airport, what sort of terminal facilities you need. You need cold storage facilities, all these things related to. The PM's direction will now serve as an instruction to all agencies of state who are responsible for infrastructure and support services to pull together and see whether we can collaborate efforts to make Manus a feasible area for business, unlike what was said before in 2007. Prerequisites for a zone development, or things that have to be in place to make such development feasible. We need a good road network and transport facilities, really up to standard roads compatible with international standards for investors. We need to have readily available factors of production like human capital, labor, resources, and other things that support such investments to come. We have to have clear land free of demand. We prefer government land free of any problems associated with land, so that we can use that to build facilities. If there's a problem with land, then of course investor will not come. They'll go to other places where land is free of any problems associated with it. We need to make sure our local facilities and services like accommodation, schools, hospitals, training facilities, law and order, and everything is up to international standards. So we need to put some money in to make sure all these services are upgraded. We need to have accommodation facilities for people that can be moving, or land made available for houses to be built. Funding has to be made available for schools to be upgraded, hospital beds to be increased, wards has to be increased, facilities equipment has to be increased, because we are now having international people living within us. So we have to allow to provide for that. The last thing on the list is the goodwill of the people of Manus. Are you willing to embrace it? Are you willing to support? Are you going to be fully behind all these things that we're going to do? We're going to spend big money. So the goodwill of the people of Manus and the leaders of Manus have to be behind it. We'll skip this one because I'll mention what sector incentives and fiscal incentives are. Okay, basically, concept for Manus. From my presentation, you will note that we are more inclined to think of SEZ as the concept for Manus. SEZ will make sure all the other concepts like tax-free zone, free zone are all included in an SEZ. We set up a one-stop shop where all investors will report to it, get a customs approval, IPA approval, lands approval, everything you need to get from government must be given here in Manus at the center we locate them to. So that most investors doesn't come to Port Moresby and stop over to get their things before flying on. So that's an important aspect of our Manus Free Trade Zone. SEZ. Some discussions on the island. We believe that we have to have areas that we can look at with the feasibility of locating an SEZ. So from the Manus mainland and two bigger islands, Butso and Los Digos, Manus people have to decide where we locate. But we are recommending that both the Manus mainland and Los Negros be considered as a special economic zone area, which we're clearly fenced in. Obviously, we can't declare the whole province a special economic zone or tax-free zone because of the reason that the site that possesses approval will be here. And for the security of things and the logistical issues in Manus, we prefer that everyone hang around or set up in one particular central area. So our recommendation is probably look at Manus Island and where airport and wharves are located as a center for such a zone to be set up. But if the provincial government thinks that they want to declare the whole province an SEZ, we'll try and work our way around it. But the problem I see is security and also logistics. Okay, we have one SEZ development project in Madang, which is the Pacific Marine Industrial Zone. That zone would be responsible to process fisheries and marine products. And I designed that concept way back in 2005. Up to now, 2019, nothing has happened. We've done some work, we spent some money, we're good at spending money. But what we intended to do at the time has not materialized. I'll tell you why, one reason why. That declaration of SEZ in Madang has caused many ministers and governors to declare their areas as SEZ. The one question remains is, under what powers are you going and declaring your area an SEZ when the law and policy for SEZ is not in place, including the PN? Richard Maru declared civic plains as a special economic zone. Well, the problem is that, like I said, we need to have a law that can empower minister or governor or prime minister to declare a particular area as an SEZ. But to declare an area, there are certain criteria with regard to infrastructure, services, and other things that you have to consider before you can declare an area a special economic zone. It's no point declaring an area special economic zone and there are no wharfs, there are no roads, there are no other things that will just drive your costs further. Or it's a decision based on dreams. Oh, I have 2 minutes. Thank you. Like I said earlier, we have a problem where there's no policy and law on special economic zone. And that's something that we have to quickly do before we can go down to implement these concepts. The law will also encompass what we can give to investors as incentives, what sort of things we are allowed to do by the law in favor of investors, as well as in favor of our own industries in the country. So it is a first step and a critical move that we must complete the SEZ policy and law. So, like I said, we authorize the declaration of sites under the law. We set criteria under the law to determine which areas you can declare as FTZ. What is an SEZ as a business? Well, if government gets a big land and zone it and divide plots and make land available for sale with individual titles and maybe build some buildings for lease, then the concept is to lease everything to an investor. The lease will also include what sort of incentives that government has offered for a particular industry, kind of thing. So the main income to the SEZ will be used to input back into the operations of the SEZ. We can't say it's a commercial enterprise and we're going to declare a dividend. That doesn't work in an SEZ. In particular instance, like in Philippines, some did actually declare dividend. But we're starting off with a high cost, especially for Manus. So we may not make a return on investment until after maybe 100 years. We'll all be gone by then. So we must also conclude that it is not a commercial project, but it's an economic enabling infrastructure where we provide those services, the investor come, they provide employment, buy goods and services from us, do all these things. So the government collects from the activities that happen through taxes and stuff like that. But not the SEZ organization itself is not a profit-making entity. Just to clear there. Okay, what do we do after today? I present paper, you read it, take it home. For us, from the office of the Speaker, we've sort of plotted what we need to do. First of all, we need to do a baseline assessment of Manus with regard to services infrastructure. Second of all, during the review, once we collect all the information that is required, we will present the findings on the first day workshop. During that workshop, everyone who represents an entity like Water Board, PNG Telecom, will be asked to present what they will be doing to upgrade the system facilities to implement Free Zone. We plan 2 workshops, two one-day workshops. First workshop is after we do our ground assessment, and the second workshop is after that, where everyone is given direction to assess their facilities and come back to us on how they will do. The final NEC paper we intend to do after that is to get approval from NEC to proceed in principle on a Manus tax-free zone. And the second NEC paper will go seeking for approval to construct and also budget that we require to construct. So basically we've some little bit idea what we need to do after this. One important concept is also, not concept, but one way of doing things in PNG is to form a interdepartmental committee that will look at all these things. So we also plan to do that. The entities and the agencies that we'll be talking with, looking at to seek their assistance to proceed with the development of infrastructure in Manus. I've said all that, so I'm just going through. And I think that's about what I wanted to present. There are notes on this available should you feel like you're interested and want to read more. And we're also around till maybe Friday if you need to get more clarification. Thank you.